In this lesson, you will learn the basics of how to use expressions, which are snippets of code that you can use to create animations without needing to add keyframes. There are two main ways to animate in After Effects. The most common and the most basic way is using keyframes. The second way is using expressions. Let's first start with keyframes. So if I want to animate my logo a full 360 degrees across the entire timeline, and my timeline is 10 seconds long, first I'm going to drag the CTI to the beginning of the timeline. I'm going to select my logo layer and tap R for the rotation property. So the value is at 0, 0, which is what I want. I'm going to click on the stopwatch for rotation. That's going to add a keyframe at the 0, 0 mark. I'll move the CTI to the end of the timeline. I'm just going to enter a value of 1. That is going to rotate a full 360 degrees. I'll move the CTI to the beginning of the timeline. I'll just tap the home key on my keyboard to move it to the beginning. I'll tap the spacebar to preview the animation. And now using just 2 keyframes, I'm able to rotate my logo a full 360 degrees. And now I'll create this exact same animation, only instead of using keyframes, I'll use an expression. First, I'll duplicate this layer by pressing Command or Control D. With the layer selected, I'll tap U. That's going to reveal all properties that have keyframes. To delete these keyframes, I'm just going to click on the stopwatch. Now all the keyframes have been removed. So there's no animation on this layer. I do want to make sure that the rotation property is at 0, so I'm just going to click and enter 0. To add and remove expressions in After Effects, instead of just clicking on the stopwatch, which adds a keyframe, first hold the Option key on a Mac, Alt on Windows, and then click the stopwatch. You'll see the tooltip says Option click, Add or Remove Expression. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch with the Option key pressed. And then you just type or paste in a snippet of code in the expression editor on the timeline. And the expression editor is just like the text editor that you have on your computer, such as Notepad or TextEdit. So I'm just going to type in the expression time, asterisk, so that's saying time, times, and then I need to enter a number. I'm going to enter in 36. And it's best practice when you're adding JavaScript code at the end of each line to put a semicolon. I'm just going to click off in an empty space to close the expression editor. Now I just added the time expression. Before I tap the spacebar, I'm just going to select the layer below that we animated using keyframes, tap P for position, and I'm just going to move the position down so we can compare the two. So the one on top has an expression on it. The one below has keyframes. If I tap the spacebar, you will see they are identical animations. To show all keyframes in a composition, you tap the letter U. Tap the letter U again to hide. To show all expressions, you tap the letter E 2 times. So E for expressions 2 times. EE. Now you can see the expression that we just added. Tap the letter E 1 time to hide. And if you go to the top menu and go to Animation, if you choose Reveal Properties with Animation, that is going to show you both the expressions and the keyframes. And if you tap either U or E, that will collapse the layers again. I'm going to hide the visibility of the bottom logo layer so we can focus on the expression layer. I'm also going to temporarily hide it from the Layers panel. The way you can do that is using this guy right here called the Shy Guy. So to use Shy Guy, you first must enable Shy Guy switch for all layers. It's very similar to how you do it with Motion Blur. So if I click this to disable it, you're going to see all of the layers that I have hidden. I just hid all the background layers. Shy Guy is just a great way when you want to declutter your Layers panel. So once you enable it for all layers, then you just tick this little guy. His head's going to go down when it's enabled, and as soon as I click him, the layer gets hidden. And to bring them back, I just disable the switch, bring them all back. I can just untick it. If I click it again, anytime his head is up, the layer is going to be visible. As long as it's enabled, if I click the head, it hides that layer. I'll tap EE to reveal the expressions. The first thing you want to train your eyes on, whenever you see a property's value in red, that means that there is an expression on that property. When the values are in red, if you try to manually change them, it's going to allow you to, but as soon as you let go, you're going to see it snaps right back to that value. Many effects and presets that have animation built into them have expressions. So if I drag one of my favorite presets, the hand-drawn effect, onto the logo, so when I look at this preset in the Effect Controls panel, I can see right away which properties have expressions on them because their values are in red. So just know when you add effects and presets, anytime that you see a property value in red, that means you cannot change those without doing some advanced workarounds. And if you want to dissect this preset so you can see which expressions are being used, well, you can go up to the top menu, click on Animation, and choose Reveal Properties with Animation. And if you need a little more room down here, you can just hover your cursor between the panel and just pull up on the Layers panel. I'm going to remove that preset by pressing Shift Command or Shift Control E. That's the same thing if you went to the Effect menu and chose Remove All. So I'm going to twirl open the layer, then twirl open the transform properties. So just like with keyframes, any property that you see a stopwatch, you can add an expression. Remember, expressions are just another way to animate. So instead of just clicking to add a keyframe, when you want to add an expression on a property, you're going to press Option or Alt, then click on the stopwatch. I'll tap Escape to cancel. I'm going to twirl open the rotation property, and I know that this property has an expression because the values are in red. When you add an expression, you will then get these four little icons. The first one, the equal sign, that is going to toggle on and off expressions. So currently the expression is enabled, so I'm getting animation, but if I click the equal sign, you'll see a line goes through it that is temporarily or disabling the expression. You just click it again to enable it. The second one's a little more of an advanced feature, but that's going to relate to the graph editor here. When you click this, it's going to show you the expression over time. The next one is the expression pick whip. We use the pick whip in the track mats. There's also a pick whip for layers, but this is specific to expressions. So if you want to link an expression property to another property, you can use the expression pick whip. And the last one with the arrow is the expression language menu. These are all snippets of some of the really common expressions and some really obscure and advanced expressions, but they're designed to be starters to help you build your own expressions. And you can add expressions on properties that already have keyframes. So I'll animate the position property of this logo. I'll move it to the left. I'll click on the stopwatch for position to add a keyframe. I'll move the CTI forward in time. I'm going to move the logo to the right. I'm going to hold the Shift key so it stays in a straight line. Tap the spacebar to preview. So it's rotating using the expression while it's moving on the position property with keyframes. One thing to be aware of, when you press the Option or Alt key, click on a stopwatch to add an expression, you'll see that After Effects automatically puts in a placeholder expression. This is just the name of the property. Now most people just start typing in a new expression or paste an expression over this. But if you click away, that expression is still going to be there. So it looks like you have an expression on that even though this is not doing anything. So if you need to remove that, press Option or Alt, and that will just get rid of that placeholder expression. You can also add expressions right from the Effect Controls panel. I'm going to go to the Effects and Presets panel and search for a great effect to know about called Transform. So we know about the transform properties of a layer: anchor point, position, scale, rotation, opacity. Well, sometimes you wish you had another one of these. Well, you can't duplicate it in the layer, but there is a transform effect which is going to give you all of those properties, and you can duplicate and add as many of these transform effects as you want. I'm going to hold down the Option key on a Mac, Alt on Windows. I'm going to click on the stopwatch for position. As soon as I click that, you see the values turn red, indicating that there is an expression on this property. I see the placeholder expression in the expression editor waiting for me to type in an expression. I'm going to add probably the most popular expression in all of After Effects. It's typically the first expression that most people learn, and it's something that you are going to use over and over again. That is the wiggle expression, because everyone loves a little wiggle and jiggle to their animations. Lowercase w, I-G-G, just like on your phone, After Effects is going to try to guess what it is that you're typing. It's just pulling from a big list of popular expressions. So if what is highlighted what you want, to select it, all you have to do is tap Enter or Return, and that'll just fill it in the expression editor. And it also automatically adds the parentheses, so it's just waiting for me to enter the values for the wiggle expression. The first number of wiggle is frequency. How fast do you want it to move? I'm going to type in a very low number of 3. The second number is amplitude. How much do you want the layer to move? I'm going to type in a little bigger number. Let's try 15. I'm going to go to the end by using my arrow key and just put a semicolon for best practice. I'm going to click away, tap the space bar, and now you'll see I've got a nice little wiggle to my animation. And the last thing I'll mention about the basics of expressions is that you can copy and paste them. So I'm in the transform effect on the position property where we added the wiggle expression. I'm going to go to Edit, Copy Expression Only. I'll select the rotation property on the transform effect, go to Edit, Paste, tap the spacebar. Now I've got wiggle on both the position and the rotation property. Very cool. I'll select the layer, go to the animation menu, choose Reveal Properties with Animation so we can review our handiwork. On the layer's transform properties, on rotation, we added the time times 36 expression to make the logo rotate 360 degrees. Also, on the position property of the transform properties, we added 2 keyframes to make the logo animate from left to right. Then we added the transform effect. On the position and the rotation property, we added the awesome wiggle expression. So we use keyframes and expressions, which is what After Effects is all about. Nice work. Well, now that you've got a little wiggle in your step, in the next lesson, you're going to learn about the loop out and the loop in expressions so you can create endlessly repeating animations.